I have a bad feeling about this.
Extra Dimensional is the first game in a long time that really brought me back to the early days of PCVR, around 2016, a time when VR experiences, even if not perfect, were a true showcase of what this technology could offer. Not every game was polished back then, but it was clear, at least to me, that VR had potential to become the future for everyone. I immediately think about games like The Gallery, Form and Vanishing Realms. They could feel like tech demos at times, but they still managed to create emotion and excitement, making you believe that something incredible was coming. And honestly, it is surprising to see how a team of just 4 people, Lord of Illusion, managed to build something that already from the first trailers showed a clear ambition. Bringing VR back to something made for VR itself, not trying to do everything but doing a few things with style, technical skill and intention. From a visual standpoint, Extra Dimensional is probably one of the most impressive indie VR projects of recent years. You can feel it right from the main menu, and it is not just about graphics, it is about the kind of care that comes from people who truly understand VR, who loved it, and know exactly what matters beyond pure visual fidelity. The massive caves, the lava environments, and the scale of spaces constantly creates those wow moments, the ones that really matter in VR. These are not procedurally generated areas but handcrafted environments with strong attention to lighting and dynamic shadows that give the whole experience a presence that is rare for a project like this. Even the smallest detail helps break the barrier of just playing a game and instead make you feel like you're actually inside the world of Extra Dimensional. In the game, you follow the story of Max Ventura, a simple warehouse worker who suddenly gets transported into another dimension together with his daughter during what was supposed to be a normal working day at the magazine. I do not want to spoil a surprise of clear references to games like Portal, Half-Life, Boneworks and others. I will let you discover those yourself, but everything in the game feels like intentional, and the more experienced you are as a player, the more you will enjoy discovering all the hidden details and small touches. From the moment on, things immediately take an epic direction. As soon as he arrives in the world of Erath, Max discovers that he is the chosen one destined to save the world from a dark threat. The story mostly stays in the background, even if it is told with uneven quality. I can say with almost certainty that the narrative was probably changed during development, maybe to simplify or speed up the ending. Still, it remains interesting for what it ends at. The progression is divided into chapters that take you through different environments, temples, caves, ruins, water, lava areas, while you collect notes and clues left by those who came before you, slowly discovering what really happened in that world. All of this is supported by a strong physics system, gravity, sense of weight, collision, materials reacting differently, and ragdoll system for both enemies and your own body. Now, I'm not a big fan of physics used as a gimmick to create artificial fun, and here we are right on the edge between something unnecessary and frustrating, but also something genuinely fun and impressive. Because yes, on one side you will enjoy stabbing enemies, interacting with objects, and using your powers to move through the world, but on the other side you will also run into the usual issues, arms getting stuck, clipping problems, ragdoll glitches, and frustrating bugs that sometimes break the game and even the save system. But before talking about the problems, let me highlight what I really loved about this game, because it gave me some of the best VR moments I ever experienced in recent years. There are mechanics clearly designed for VR, like the quantic gloves, the tool on your left hand that you use to switch skills, manage energy and control important functions. There is a wide use of melee and ranged weapons, the possibility to slide your fingers across objects and see real-time shadows, real physical collisions. All of these are details that simply would not work in flat gaming, and they are exactly what gives meaning to VR. This is where VR should go instead of trying to imitate flat AAA games. I consider myself someone who really understands the language of VR, and I can tell immediately, even just pressing a button on a control panel or swinging a sword, if the developers behind it truly knows what they are doing. On a personal level, I also really appreciate some section inside caves and catacombs where you move with a torch and a sword. It reminds me a lot of Diablo 1 in the mood, in the color palette and in the pacing. The way the exploration is structured, combined with puzzle based on physics, memory and hidden secrets, managed to excite me in a way that has not happened in a long time. A few core ideas stretched across a 7 hours first run, mixed in a smart way to create something that really speaks to those who remember when VR was made by people who put VR first, not by people chasing trends. The game is clearly built around PCVR, and it shows. Lightning, physics, particle effect and object animation, even the simplest one, all point to a project that wanted to express a vision, not just reach as many players as possible. From start to finish, I felt at home. Magic, monster, puzzles, massive environments, giant statues, hidden secrets, things I had not experienced like this in a long time. And honestly, I would love to end the review here and just tell you to go to play it. But unfortunately, I cannot. Because now we need to talk about the problems. I'm not going to justify them just because the team is small. This is an indie game that does not try to pretend to be a AAA game, but it still carries issues that maybe come from the fact that the game is not fully released, or it is still evolving and being polished. It probably did not go through enough beta testing, and it was not tested enough by experienced VR players who could have spotted many of these issues in a single playthrough. That said, I am confident most of this will be fixed in a few patches, so take everything positive I said so far seriously. These I'm going to say are more like typos in a great book, not signs of incompetence. But still, there are too many bugs, really, too many. Puzzles, tools can break, objects get stuck into each other, items fall behind metal bars and become impossible to retrieve, levers do not work, elevators back out or get stuck. These issues drove me crazy from start to finish, and this would have been acceptable if there was a well-balanced checkpoint system. But there is not. Sometimes checkpoints are extremely close, other times you are forced to replay long sections just to get back to where you were. Saves should always be placed before a scripted fight, right after solving a puzzle, before a branching path and at the start of a new area. Instead, I found some of the worst checkpoint placement I ever seen. Then there is the melee combat system. At times, it is simply terrible. Sometimes you can cut off enemy's head with a precise hit, other times you have to hit the same enemy 20 times and nothing happens. It is frustrating, unfair, and even worse when you are forced to reload the checkpoint from 10 minutes earlier. I do not care how advanced the physics system is. If melee combat is not reliable, then at least make sure the second hit always kills. This does not mean removing physics or ragdoll. I like it, those aspects are actually fun, but melee combat against enemies needs immediate fixes. I love the game, but someone else might ask for a refund after the first unfair death caused by broken hitboxes or impossible enemies like spiders or flying creatures. There are many small issues tied to this sandbox-style physics system. Grabbing object is sometimes imprecise, arms get tangled, you fall off stairs, your body glitches after teleporting, and many other small problems. These are all things that should, and likely will, be fixed once enough feedback reaches the talented team of Lords of Illusion. Also, teleport should absolutely be mapped to pulling the stick backward and not forward, to avoid accidental movement. I really do not understand this choice. And it is exactly this small inconsistency in a game that otherwise shines because of its attention to detail that frustrates me the most, because I see enormous potential here. I already want more expansions, new monsters, new secrets, new caves. On the technical aspect, despite its AAA level visual, thanks to DLSS, the game can run decently starting from an RTX 3070, but it is better with a 3070 Ti. Extra Dimensional is a game that for long-time VR players will bring you back to when VR felt revolutionary, when even small projects could feel groundbreaking, emotional, and capable of making you believe there was a before and an after VR. If you are an experienced player, even just spending time in the menu era interacting interacting with objects is more meaningful than many pointless standalone titles released in the last 36 months. And I hope this is the right step to take back a medium that slipped away from us, taken over by investors and people who did not care about VR but only about easy money and the metaverse. Now we need smaller projects built for VR. Enough with pointless open worlds, procedural system and artificial persistence. I want to enjoy my adventure and be in control of my time. And for extra dimensional, I will leave you with this quote: I joined for the graphics, I stayed for the game.